Welcome students. This is Diploma in Pre-Primary Education as well as the Junior Primary Education. It's Mother Tongue Literacy and Development 2. Content-based presentation. Today the 24th of June 2017. I am Miss Andima. I have provided my contact details. That is my contact number and the time that a student should contact me. But I would prefer you to contact me via email. I'll be able to respond to you quickly rather than contacting me via cell phone. Getting into our modules, or before I get to the modules, I would just like to bring to your attention that you should bear in mind that the two courses are combined, that is the DPP as well as DJP. Your examination is one. So therefore you should acquaint yourself with the content both for DPP as well as DJP. However, it's all mother tongue English too. To start with, Unit 1, based on the module aims, it's aimed to develop theoretical understanding, the values and competencies, develop listening skills, demonstrate and explain the development of speaking competencies, analyze the development of and support reading and writing competencies, examine additional teaching and learning activities for junior and primary reading development, as well as to examine the teaching and learning activities and materials for language development. Those are the aims of our course or the module that you are using. It's very important to note that mother tongue literacy revolves around four skills, that is speaking, reading, writing, and listening. We're moving on to Unit 1. Unit 1 deals with development of listening skills. As you are dealing with your learners in your class, this is one of the skills that is very important to focus on. As I mentioned earlier, as part of the four main skills that we have to focus on, developing listening skills entails the development of skills in auditory perception and discrimination, the development of phonemic awareness skills, listening attentively and responding attentively in class, the development of children's imagination and their desire to hear stories, rhyme, and songs from you as the teacher. You should be able to select songs, jingles, rhymes, poems, short stories, and folk tales that are suitable for the level of the learners that you are working with, in this case, the primary education level. We should be able to identify the listening difficulties and provide remedial support. Of course, we have some of the learners, just by observing, we should be able to pick up that there are some learners with listening difficulties, and it's up to us also to see to it how we are going to provide help to these learners. What are some of the listening activities that you can engage learners in your class? The items that may help learners or children's listening development are, for instance, teaching them songs or jingles, rhymes, reciting of poems, reading them short stories, as well as folk tales. Please do familiarize yourself with a guide content. All these things are explained in details. Listening and hearing are two different items. We should be able to explain or distinguish between the two terminologies. They may sound as if they are the same, however, there is a difference. We are continuing with the key elements of active listening since we are still dealing with listening. During the listening activities, you should be able to pay attention. That means to give the speaker your undivided attention and acknowledge the message. The second point is show that you are listening. Use your own body language and gestures to convey your attention. Provide feedback, that is to reflect on what is being said and ask questions. Paraphrase and summarize what has been said. Defer judgment, meaning do not interrupt the speaker. Allow the speaker to finish speaking. Then you can speak later. Respond appropriately. Treat the other person in a way that you would want to be treated. Be candid, open, honest in your response. By then, you should be able to build the trust between you and your learners. The next topic is based on storytelling. Like we said, as well, speaking is one of the skills. Dialogic storytelling involves, or we say it's a method whereby picture books or illustrations alone are used. Being in the class as a teacher, you allow the children to make up stories based on the pictures that are either appearing on their books, or perhaps you have some posters that contain some pictures. You as a teacher, you act as a facilitator and guide the learners, give prompts with questions or hints. The other part is phonics. What do we mean by phonics? Well, these are letter sounds and written letters that represent those sounds. The development of phonological awareness. This is one of the items that you should be able to develop in your learners, in your class. Then what does it involve? It involves identifying and manipulating larger parts of spoken language, such as words and syllables. We have words, but before words, or after writing the words, we should be able to break them down into syllables. We put these syllables together to form a word. It involves breaking words into syllables, like I alluded to earlier, identifying onsets, identifying rhyme endings of words, those words that have, we look at words that, for instance, have the same rhyme endings. And children should hear and create rhyming words in rhymes, songs, as well as stories. Still on phonological awareness, we are familiar with what is called alconin or phoneme boxes. But what are these? Alconin boxes are described as instructional methods used in early primary grades to build phonological awareness. Remember, we talked about breaking words into syllables earlier. This is on the emphasis on for them to be able to have phonological awareness. What are the benefits of this, or of the learners knowing or having the phonological awareness? Well, the benefits are, it helps learners to build phonological awareness by segmenting words into sounds or syllables. Segmentation simply refers to breaking down words into syllables. They teach learners how to count the number of phonemes in a word, how many phonemes each word consists of. They help learners better understand the alphabetic principles in decoding as well as spelling. In other words, we are saying if learners have better phonological awareness, it even helps them to become good in spelling words. We're moving on to a different topic that deals with public speaking skills. Remember, we are emphasizing on the 4 skills, and this time we are on speaking. When speaking to the public or presenting something to the public, be it to the learners or perhaps to any other type of audience, these are the things that you should be able to take into consideration. Key public skills needed by teachers are, for instance, age. Not your age, but the age of your audience. You should be aware of the audience age and keep in mind that different ages have different life experiences. Are you speaking to the children? Are you speaking to the teenagers or the adults? That's what you have to take into consideration, for then you'll be able to choose your words wisely. Gender and sex. Audience would consist of different genders, and topics should be aligned to evoke interest in both genders. This is where we also have to be gender sensitive and to know that we do not say things that may be gender sensitive or that may be offensive to some kind of gender or sex. Ethnicity. Consider the difference in ethnicity as well as the cultural background that is of your audience. The geographic origin. Where are these people from? The speaker should be aware of perceptions about different cultures or people from different geographical regions. Stereotyping that can offend members of the audience should be avoided. We can connect geographical origin with ethnicity. What we have to underline here is perceptions. Different people can view or can have different views about something, so this is you as a teacher and as a speaker at the same time have to be aware of. Select your words wisely because you are aware of who you are speaking to. The public speaking skills continue. Another thing that you have to be aware of is the socio-economic status of your audience. You as a speaker or as a teacher in the class, you should consider the socio-economic status and possible audience background when preparing speeches. Perhaps if you're going to address, let's say, the parents of your learners, it's important that you research first on their background. What type of people are they? Where are they from? Are they educated or not educated, so that the content suits their level? Education. The content and the topic of the speech should be congruent with the educational background of the audience. Do not choose very complicated speech that will not be understood by the people that form your audience. Sometimes because we are that educated and we want to show that, we choose the language that is so complicated that we do not take into consideration the level of our audience, and as a result, our message will not be received. Occupation. We cannot perceive what occupation a person is. People in certain occupation will tend to share similar worldviews, which should be considered. The other one is religion. The speaker should be tolerant and respectful and not offend. Of course, our society consists of different people of different religions. You, as a speaker, you should have this awareness. You should be inclusive as much as possible and try not to offend anyone, or let's say, for instance, be negative on somebody's religion. The language. The speaker should adapt to the possible linguistic background relevant to the member of the audience. Remember here, what you want to achieve is to get the message across, or to engage as far as possible with your audience. The type of language that you use is very important. Is it understandable, or is it simple enough for your audience to be able to understand as well as to engage with you? So take that into consideration. Still on speaking as a skill in language, we are looking at the methods and materials needed by the teacher to develop and expand spoken as well as reading vocabulary. In your class, as a primary school teacher, some of these hints can help you in order to enhance the skills in your class. The methods and materials are such as you can label the furnitures and objects in the classroom. It will be able to help the learners to know the names of specific objects in the class. It also enhances their reading skills. Write all keywords on flashcards and display those flashcards next to the pictures on the wall. The next one is write a song or rhyme on the poster only after the children have memorized it. After you have taught the song to the learners, you can write it down, paste it on the wall. They should be able to refer to it after they have mastered it. Make a poster of words that children bring to class that they can be able to read as well as remember them at a later stage. The other method is to give routine instructions orally while showing on the flashcards as well. This is a coordination between what is on the cards or what is on the posters as well as what you are saying. Then the learners are able to connect the two. Make a word wall with easy sight. When you have written the words on the cards or on the posters that are displayed on the wall, ensure that all the learners are able to see and read these words. Design a weather chart and discuss the vocabularies that are related to it. Then learners shall be able to know the terminologies or the words that are associated with weather as they are appearing on the chart, and this chart should be displayed on the wall. Stick the children's names on their desks. It's easier for them. They do not have to confuse of where they have to sit. They will definitely know if their names are displayed on the desk, because they also know how to read their names or how to write their names by displaying them on the desk. It's easier for them to identify specifically the places where they have to sit. Children with auditory perception problems. In your class, you have different learners, and these learners might have different problems. Some have sight problems, some have hearing problems. Now, looking at the children with hearing problems, how are you able to identify them? Well, this type of learners, when you are in the class or when you are with them in the class, they may seem to ignore verbal directions. They may appear to daydream. As you are talking, you will think everybody is with you, but there are these specific individuals that may display such type of signs. So be on the lookout. They ask for repetitions. You have said something, all of a sudden, this child stands up and asks you to repeat what you have just said. Watch everyone else what they are doing before following the directions. This is already an indication to you that they might have hearing problems. The fact that they are relying on the others is probably because they are not hearing what the teacher is saying or what the instruction is about. Therefore, they have to look at others first in order for them to carry out the activity that has to be done in the class or wherever the engagement is taking place. They may have poor speech patterns. They may not speak very well. They may tend to gesticulate a lot. They usually prefer visual tasks over the instructions. For instance, you give some activities by instructions, via oral instructions, you will tend to find out that this type of learners may not even carry out this, but once you give visual tasks, they are well with it and they can carry it out well. Print conventions, children learn incidentally when a teacher reads to them. The children or the learners come to realize that print has meaning. A book is read and contains interesting stories or information. Learn how to handle a book. They learn how to interpret pictures. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. They can identify the cover, the front, the back of the book, top and bottom, or how to hold the upright. This is important, especially in the pre-primary level, where the learners are, for instance, coming to school for the first time and they might not be familiar with the book. They might not know which one is the front part of the book and which one is the end part. Recognizing the reading is done from left to right. Learn how a story is structured. This is, like I said, this should be more emphasized, especially at the pre-primary level, because this is where the learners are coming into contact with these things for the first time, especially the reading and as well as the books. We have also what is called metacognition. What is metacognition? This means thinking about one's thinking. It is the foundation for other reading comprehension strategies. If somebody has to ask you, for instance, to define what metacognition is, this is the definition. Readers who use metacognition, they preview the text and make prediction. Like the definition itself, it says it's about thinking about someone's thinking. Metacognition to the reader means to be able to make connections to personal experience or other texts, as well as to ask for clarifying questions, to identify difficult sentences in the passage that you are reading, or in a story that you are reading, or simply the whole passage itself. Be able to restate in your own words, or to be able to understand or retell, let's say for instance, a story, how you understand it in your own words. Metacognition helps readers to react to the text. Interpretation of your own on the text itself. The next topic is on analysis and synthesis. What do the two mean? Analysis means to break apart, and synthesis means to reconstruct and put something together again. Let's say, for instance, you're teaching maybe sentences to your learners. You can have words that are displayed, for instance, on flashcards that are put together to form a sentence. You can break them apart, mix them together, and ask your learners to put them together to reconstruct the sentence as it should be in a meaningful manner. That is practicing analysis and synthesis in your class. Analysis is necessary for reading when words have to be broken into phonics. I hope you still remember what we emphasized on phonics earlier. Synthesis is necessary when spelling or writing sentences. Loose letters and sounds have to be combined to form words. Remember, it's sounds that are combined to form words, and syllables it is sounds into syllables, and syllables are formed or combined to form words, and we have words that are combined together to make up sentences. So it goes on up to a larger part of a story. Going to the very end, I would like to remind students about assessments. This with your examination or assignments. Take note of action verbs. The action verbs are listed in your study guides. They direct you specifically on what is supposed to be done. If it says explain, please do explain. If it says explain and discuss, do so. It says identify or describe. They are given as well as their description on what is expected to you. To describe means to do so. To explain means to do so. Please familiarize yourself with this in order to do the right thing. The other thing is the marks allocation in the examination or the assignments. The marks allocated will give you a clue on how much you are supposed to give as answers. You cannot, for instance, give just an explanation or a definition of one thing, then it gives you, let's say, for instance, 6 marks or 10 marks. So go back and revisit the instruction and specifically pay attention to the action verbs the action verb that is contained into the instruction, then you assure you are doing the right thing and you are giving the correct amount of information in order for you to get the correct marks. The other thing that I have to re-emphasize again, because I've been getting this problem from the previous students, not picking up the fact that I've highlighted that the two courses are combined. You are writing the same thing, therefore you should familiarize yourself with the content of both study guides. That is the diploma in pre-primary as well as the diploma in junior primary education. The two study guides content is combined. You're writing the same examination. Please familiarize yourself with the content and prepare well for your examination. If you have any question, I've provided my contact details, and as I alluded to earlier, please, I would prefer if you email me. I'll be able to attend to you as soon as I can.